Hello, students. Welcome back to my channel, The Education, and again to continue with the last lesson, which is a short emotional story which is highlighting the importance of education, language, and love for one's country. The story is set in the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine during the time when these regions came under Prussian control. Through the experiences of a young boy named Franz, the author shows how people often fail to value their language and learning until they are about to lose them. This story revolves around the last French lesson given by the school teacher M. Hamel, after an order comes from Berlin that only German will be taught in the schools. This sudden change makes the villagers and students realize the true importance of their mother tongue, the French language. With deep emotion and patriotism, the story conveys a powerful message about respecting one's language, culture, and heritage before it's too late. This lesson is a famous short story written by French writer Alphonse Daudet. The story was first published in 1873 in a collection called Contes du Lundi, Monday Tales. Though it's a short story, it carries a deep emotional message about love for one's language, culture, and nation. The story is set during the time of Franco-Prussian War 1870 to 71, when France was defeated by Prussia. After the defeat, the districts of Alsace and Lorraine were taken over by Prussia. The new rulers ordered that German would be taught in schools instead of French. Because of this order, the French language classes in these regions were about to end. The story is narrated through the eyes of a small boy named Franz, who realizes the importance of his language only when it's about to be taken away from him. The story shows how people often ignore the value of things they have until they lose them. This story takes place in a small village school in the province of Alsace. The narrator, Franz, is a young student who studies under a strict teacher named M. Hamel. One morning, Franz is on his way to school. He is worried because he has not prepared his lesson on participles. Normally, his teacher, M. Hamel, punishes students who do not learn their lessons. The day appears peaceful. The sun is shining brightly, birds are chirping, and everything seems calm. Franz feels tempted to skip school and spend the day outdoors. The fields look inviting and the weather is beautiful. However, despite his fear of punishment, he decides to go to school. This decision leads him to witness something unforgettable. The last French lesson that will ever be taught in this school. Franz, on his way to school, walks through the village towards the school. He passes the town hall bulletin board. This bulletin board is famous for posting important announcements. In the past 2 years, many bad news notices have appeared there. These included announcements related to the Franco-Prussian War, such as lost battles, orders from the Prussian army, new regulations for the region. Whenever villagers see people gathered around the bulletin board, they that another troubling announcement has been posted. On this particular day, Franz notices a crowd standing around the board again, but he does not stop to read it because he is already late for the school. A blacksmith named Water calls him out to him and says, "Don't hurry so much, little Franz. You will get to your school in plenty of time." Franz thinks that the blacksmith is teasing him, so he continues running towards the school. He does not yet know that the announcement on the bulletin board concerns the end of French language teaching in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. When Franz reaches the school, he notices something strange. Usually, the school is very noisy before class begins. Students read their lessons loudly, desks bang upon, open and shut, and the teacher's ruler taps loudly on the table to maintain discipline. But today, everything is completely silent. It feels like a Sunday morning rather than a school day. Franz looks through the window and sees all the students already sitting quietly in their places. His teacher, M. Hamel, is also present, walking up and down the classroom calmly. Franz feels nervous because he is late. Normally, he would have to enter the class embarrassed while everyone looks at him. However, when he enters, something unexpected happens. Instead of scolding him, M. Hamel speaks gently. "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." Franz is surprised by the teacher's kindness. But there are even more unusual things in the classroom. Franz notices that the back benches of the classroom are filled with village elders. These are people who normally do not attend school, such as Old Hauser, the former mayor, the former postmaster, several other villagers. They are sitting quietly and respectfully in the classroom. Old Hauser even holds a primer book, which is the basic reading book used by children. The presence of these adults confuses Franz. He cannot understand why they have come to the school. Another thing surprises Franz. His teacher M. Hamel is wearing his special green coat, frilled shirt, and little black silk cap. These clothes are usually worn only on special occasions such as inspection days, prize distribution ceremonies. Franz begins to feel that something important is about to happen. Then the teacher makes an announcement that shocks everyone. After the class settles down, M. Hamel speaks in a serious and emotional voice. He tells the students that an order has come from Berlin, the capital of Prussian Empire. The order says that only German will be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine from the next day onwards. Because of this order, today is the last day French will be taught in the school. This means that the lesson they are about to receive will be the last French lesson ever. The news shocks Franz. He suddenly remembers the bulletin board that he passed earlier. That announcement must have contained this news. Franz feels deeply regretful. He realizes he has often been careless about learning his language. He had preferred to play outside to bird nesting, slide on the river instead of studying. Now he understands that he may never again have the chance to learn French in school. Francis' feelings of regret, he listens to the announcement. He feels ashamed. He regrets not studying harder. His books, which once seemed boring and heavy, now appear precious to him. He begins to understand that language is not just a school subject. It is part of one's identity and heritage. He also begins to appreciate his teacher. Previously, he had thought of M. Hamel as a strict and sometimes annoying teacher. But now he realizes how dedicated and hardworking the teacher has been. The thought that M. Hamel will leave the school forever the next day makes Franz very sad. M. Hamel's speech about language gives an emotional feeling about the importance of language. He tells the villagers and students that French is the most beautiful, clear, and logical language in the world. He says that people must guard their language carefully. He explains that when a nation is enslaved, the language becomes the key to its freedom. Language connects people with their culture, history, and identity. If people preserve their language, they preserve their spirit and dignity. His words deeply move everyone in the classroom. After his speech, M. Hamel begins teaching grammar. Normally, Franz struggles with grammar lessons, but on this day, everything seems easier to understand. Franz listens carefully and feels that the teacher explains the rules very clearly. He realizes that perhaps M. Hamel always taught well, but the students never paid enough attention. Next, the teacher gives the students a writing exercise. On their new notebooks, he has written the words France, Alsace, France, Alsace. The students begin copying the words carefully. The classroom is extremely quiet. The only sounds are the scratching of pens on paper, the buzzing of flies. Even the little children in the class remain silent. The seriousness of the moment affects everyone. The village elders sitting on the back benches are also deeply moved. Old Hauser struggles to read from the primer book. His voice trembles with emotion as he spells out the words slowly. It becomes clear that the villagers are attending the class to show respect for their language and for their teacher. They regret not learning their language properly when they had to learn, when they had the chance. Towards the end of the lesson, the church clock strikes 12. At the same moment, the Prussian soldiers return from their drill and the sound of their trumpets fills the air. This reminds everyone that a new authority now controls their land. M. Hamel stands up to end the class. He tries to speak, but he is overwhelmed with emotion. His voice fails him. Instead, he turns towards the blackboard and writes in large letters, Vive la France. This means long live France. After leaving these words, he leans against the wall and silently dismisses the class. So, this was all about this story, the last lesson, and the theme of the story is that is the number one, love for language. This story highlights the importance of language in preserving cultural identity. French represents the history, traditions, and pride of the people of Alsace. When the language is taken away, the people feel as though part of their identity is lost. The story is deeply patriotic. The simple act of teaching and learning French becomes an act of resistance against foreign rule. The words Vive la France symbolize national pride and hope. And number three, realization and regret. France represents many people who realize the importance of something only when it is about to disappear. His regret shows how people often take education and cultural heritage for granted. Then number four, respect for teachers. And the story also honors teachers. M. Hamel is shown as a dedicated educator who has devoted 40 years of his life to teaching the children of the village. His final lesson becomes a moment of dignity and pride. Now the main characters, that is Franz and Hamel. Franz is a young schoolboy who initially dislikes studying. He prefers playing outdoor rather than attending school. However, the events of the last lesson make him mature quickly. By the end of the story, he understands the importance of education and language. Now, M. Hamel is a French teacher of the village school. He has taught there for 40 years. Although strict, he is deeply committed to his students and to the French language. His emotional last lesson shows his love for his country and culture. Now, to conclude this lesson, which has been written by Alphonse Daudet, it's a powerful story about language, patriotism, regret, and cultural identity. Through the simple experience of a schoolboy, the story shows how political events can deeply affect ordinary people. It reminds readers that language is more than a means of communication. It's the soul of a nation. The emotional scene of M. Hamel writing Vive la France on the blackboard remains one of the most memorable moments in literature. The story teaches an important lesson, and it teaches never take your language, culture, or education for granted, because the true value is often realized only when they are threatened or lost. Hello students, I am back again to continue with the last lesson, which is an important chapter from the textbook Flamingo, and which is based on CBSE board in India for class 12. As you already know, this is an emotional story which is based on France and Prussia war. So let's have some important short answer type questions. Let's get started. What was Franz expected to be prepared with for school that day? उस दिन फ्रांस से क्या एक्सपेक्ट किया जा रहा था तैयार करके आने के लिए? Franz was expected to be prepared with participles that day for school, as Mr. Hamel had said that he would question them on participles. Means आज जो पढ़ाना था participles, उसके ऊपर एक होम टास्क स्टूडेंट्स को M. Hamel द्वारा दिया गया था. Why was Franz tempted to play truant from school? स्कूल से वो बाहर क्यों जाना चाहता था? Franz. The French teacher M. Hamel was going to ask questions on participles, which Franz had not prepared. Franz ने अच्छे से उनको प्रिपेयर नहीं किया था. To avoid being scolded, he was tempted to play truant from school and spend the day outdoors in a pleasurable manner. Means he wanted to go out of the school in order to avoid being scolded by Mr. Hamel, क्योंकि उसे लेसन तैयार अच्छे से नहीं था. What was unusual about the school that Franz noticed when he entered the school? स्कूल जब उसने एंटर किया तो उसने कुछ अनयूजुअल क्या फील किया? On entering the school, the Franz noticed that there was unusual silence. There was no noise of opening and closing of desks. The village elders had occupied the last benches that always remained empty. M. Hamel was in his very fine Sunday clothes. Everybody was sad. Everyone was looking so very sad. Means एक unusual silence Franz ने notice किया as he entered the classroom. और the elders of the village were sitting at the back benches, जो कि हमेशा खाली रहते थे. And M. Hamel was in his very fine clothes, which he only used to wear on ceremonies and presentations day only. What had been put up on the bulletin board? Bulletin board पर क्या लिखा हुआ था? Franz had a negative view about the bulletin board as for the last 2 years put up an order passed from Berlin on the bulletin board to teach only German in the school of Alsace and Lorraine. Means सभी लोग जो बुलेटिन बोर्ड पर पढ़ करके आए थे उस दिन उन्होंने यही देखा कि अल्साज और लरेन के स्कूलों में केवल जर्मन भाषा उस दिन के बाद से पढ़ाई जाएगी और फ्रेंच भाषा नहीं पढ़ाई जाएगी. What changes did the order from Berlin cause in school that day? उस दिन के बाद से बर्लिन के ऑर्डर से क्या चेंजेस आए? The order from Berlin caused many changes in the school that day. The entire school seemed strange and solemn. The old villagers were sitting on the back benches of the classroom quietly to thank M. Hamel for his 40 years of faithful service and for showing their respect for the country. M. Hamel also had put on his best dress on that day, though it was not an inspection or prize ceremony day. The order from Berlin also brought a sense of repentance for those who, in spite of having time, did not learn the French properly. उस जो ऑर्डर बर्लिन के द्वारा आया उससे स्कूल का वातावरण पूरी तरह से बदल गया था. सभी लोग बहुत सीरियस थे. दे वर वेरी काम. गांव के बुज़ुर्ग जो उसी दिन आए थे और वे स्पेशली इसलिए आए थे कि मिस्टर एम हैमेल की 40 साल की सेवा के लिए उनको धन्यवाद देना था. हाउ डिड फ्रांसिस फीलिंग्स अबाउट एम हैमेल एंड स्कूल चेंज? किस तरीके से उसकी भावनाओं में चेंज आया? फ्रांस की भावनाओं में उस दिन के बाद से क्या चेंजेस आए? Earlier, Franz did not like M. Hamel much because of his ruler and cranky nature, and he would feel fear from him, but now all those feelings were entirely changed for Mr. Hamel. The message conveyed by M. Hamel about the order from Berlin was a thunderclap for little Franz. He immediately felt sorry for not being sincere in the school and for not learning the French language and other lessons properly. His books, which seemed a nuisance and a burden earlier, are now Franz's old friends. मीन्स जो एम हेमेल फ्रेंड्स को बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट लगते थे, बहुत सख्त लगते थे और जो हमेशा डांटते थे, अब उसको पता चलता है कि फ्रेंच भाषा का आखिरी पाठ है, तो उसकी सोच पूरी तरह से बदल गई. ही वॉज हैविंग रिपेंटेंस कि उसने पढ़ाई को हल्के में लिया. जो किताबें उसे बोझ लगती थीं वही उसे अब डियर फ्रेंड्स जैसी लगने लगी. What reasons did M. Hamel give for their lack of interest in learning French? The lack of interest in learning French was due to parents who wanted their children to work in farm or mill to earn. Secondly, due to the students who were reluctant to learn and often put off the lesson for the next day. And due to himself, as he asked them to water the flower and gave them off when he had to go for fishing. माता पिता जो मेन कारण थे एम हेमेल ने बताए कि फ्रेंच भाषा सीखने में रुचि क्यों कम हो गई. उसमें नंबर 1 यह था कि माता पिता बच्चों को खेत या मिल में काम करने के लिए भेज दिया करते थे, जिससे कि सो दैट दे कुड अर्न सम मनी. सेकेंडली, जो स्टूडेंट्स थे वो भी पढ़ाई को प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट करते थे, टालते रहते थे. एंड थर्डली, एम हेमेल भी कभी कभी छुट्टी दे देते थे क्योंकि बच्चों से वो फ्लावर्स को वाटर कराते थे, बच्चों से फूलों में पानी लगवाते थे. Why does not M. Hamel want the people to forget French? M. Hamel क्यों नहीं चाहते थे कि बच्चे जो लोग हैं और स्टूडेंट्स हैं वो फ्रेंच को भूलें. M. Hamel wanted them not to forget French as it is the most beautiful and logical language in the world. And as long as they hold fast to their language, it would be as if they had the key to the prison. Means उन्होंने कहा कि फ्रेंच भाषा दुनिया की सबसे सुंदर और स्पष्ट और तार्किक भाषा है. अगर लोग, एम हेमेल कहते हैं कि अगर लोग अपनी भाषा को बनाए रखते हैं तो यह गुलामी से मुक्ति की चाबी बन सकती है. फ्रांस थिंक्स, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? What could this mean? मीन्स जब फ्रेंड्स सोचते हैं कि क्या वे कबूतरों को भी जर्मन में गाने को कहेंगे तो इसका क्या अर्थ है. The Frenchmen were highly patriotic and took a pride in their language. A strong feeling of revolt was in the air against the Germans. It shows that France did not accept their rule and thought that they can't tame pigeons. Actually ये जो सेंटेंस है ये फ्रांस की देशभक्ति और विरोध की भावना को शो कर रहा है. मतलब जो अगर वो ये सोच रहा है कि क्या वे कबूतरों से भी जर्मन में गाने को कहेंगे तो इसका मतलब यही है कि उसके अंदर जो एक फीलिंग है पेट्रियाटिज़म की और रिवोल्ट की, वो वाली फीलिंग जो है वो इट इज़ बीइंग विजिबल ओवर हियर. इसका मतलब ये है कि जर्मन लोग भले ही इंसानों पर शासन कर लें लेकिन वे नेचर और पक्षियों को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते. इसका मतलब यही है. नाउ डिस्क्राइब हाउ एम हेमेल कंडक्टेड द लास्ट लेसन. किस तरीके से एम हेमेल ने आखिरी जो उनका लेसन था उसको कंडक्ट किया. इन हिज लास्ट फ्रेंच क्लास, दो एम हेमेल वॉज इमोशनल, he was fully involved himself in the teaching learning process. He heard every lesson to the last sitting, motionless in the chair. But the church bell struck 12. He stood up, pale, and wrote, Vive la France, and with a gesture he communicated that school is dismissed. तो इस तरीके से एम हैमेल ने आखिरी पाठ पढ़ाया. एम हैमेल वॉज वेरी इमोशनल दैट डे, बहुत भावुक थे, लेकिन उन्होंने अपना पूरा ध्यान पढ़ाने पर ही लगाया. ही लिसन टू ईच एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड जब चर्च की घंटी 12 बजे बजी तो ही स्टूड अप इमीडिएटली एंड ब्लैक बोर्ड पर उन्होंने जो वर्ड्स लिखे वो थे वीव ला फ्रांस, जिसका अर्थ है फ्रांस अमर रहे. What did M. Hamel say about the French language? फ्रेंच लैंग्वेज के भाषा के बारे में एम हैमेल ने क्या कहा? एम हैमेल said that French language was world's most beautiful, clearest and logical language, and therefore it should be guarded and should not be forgotten by them. He also added that the love with one's own language can be proven as the key to the prison for the people who are enslaved. तो एम हैमेल ने कहा कि फ्रेंच भाषा दुनिया की सबसे सुंदर, स्पष्ट और तार्किक भाषा है. इसको इट इज़ टू बी केप्ट प्रिजर्व्ड, सुरक्षित रखना चाहिए और उसको कभी भी भूलना नहीं चाहिए. Why did villagers come to school that day? Villagers उस दिन ही क्यों स्कूल आए थे जबकि वो कभी नहीं आते थे? The old men of the village came to the school that day to thank M. Hamel for his 40 years of faithful service. They also came to show their respect for the country that was theirs no more. गांव के बुज़ुर्ग जो स्कूल आए थे वो इसलिए आए थे कि उनको एम हैमेल की 40 साल की सेवा के लिए धन्यवाद देना था. How did Franz find teaching and learning that day? Franz found teaching and learning very interesting that day. He was very attentive and careful. Franz he also realized that M. Hamel had never explained everything with so much patience. It seemed almost as if the poor man wanted to give them all he knew before going away. M. Hamel wanted to put it all into their heads at one stroke as it was their last lesson. उस दिन फ्रांस को पढ़ाई बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लगी. He was very attentive. He was listening very carefully. बड़े ध्यान से वो सुन रहा था हर चीज़ जो एम हैमेल कह रहे थे. उसे लगा कि एम हैमेल ने कभी इतने धैर्य से और स्पष्टता से नहीं पढ़ाया था. इट वॉज सीमिंग जैसे कि वे अपनी सारी जानकारी इन वन स्ट्रोक स्टूडेंट्स को देना चाहते हैं क्योंकि इट वॉज देयर लास्ट लेसन. सो सम लॉन्ग आंसर टाइप क्वेश्चंस. सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड. How did M. Hamel react when Franz failed to recite rule for the participle? As you already know कि एक दिन पहले M. Hamel ने स्टूडेंट्स को एक होमवर्क दिया था to learn the participles और उस दिन सभी स्टूडेंट्स को M. Hamel के सामने participles recite करने थे. Franz's name was called to recite the rule for the participles, but he got mixed up on the first word. He was standing there, holding on to his desk. His heart was beating and not daring to look up. But M. Hamel, instead of scolding, he told Franz that he must feel bad enough. He said that every day we think that we have plenty of time and we'll learn it tomorrow. And now you see where we have come out by putting off learning till tomorrow. Now, these fellows out there will have the right to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? Then M. Hamel told Franz that only he was not to be blamed. His parents were not anxious enough to have him learn. They preferred to put Franz to work on a farm or at the mills so as to have some little more money. M. Hamel blamed himself for it also. He said that quite often he had been sending Franz to water his flowers instead of learning his lessons, and when he wanted to go for fishing, he would just give him a holiday. So these were the words from Mr. Hamel. आज जब it was the last day to teach French to the students और जब participles को recite करना था तो he was not so angry. उसको बस एक repentance हो रहा था, उसको regret हो रहा था खुद अपने ऊपर भी, उनके स्टूडेंट्स के पेरेंट्स के ऊपर भी कि with time सब ने एक्शन नहीं लिया. Their parents were to be blamed, जो कि उस स्टूडेंट्स अपने बच्चों को फार्म्स पर मिल्स पर काम करने के लिए भेज देते थे जस्ट इन ऑर्डर टू अर्न सम मनी. मिस्टर हैमिल का ब्लेम खुद अपने ऊपर भी था, जो कि फ्लावर्स को वाटरिंग के लिए स्टूडेंट्स को भेज देते थे. सो दिस वाज द आंसर फ्रॉम मिस्टर हैमिल एंड these were the reactions of Mr. Hamel. What does M. Hamel tell about the significance and safeguarding of French language? How does he conclude his last lesson? अपने लास्ट लेसन को, अपने लास्ट अध्याय को उन्होंने किस तरीके से मिस्टर हैमिल ने कंक्लूड किया? M. Hamel said that French was the most beautiful, clear and logical language in the world. They must guard it among them and never forget it, because when the people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. Then M. Hamel opened a grammar and read the students their lesson. All he said seemed so easy. He had never explained everything with so much patience. After the grammar, they had a lesson in writing. M. Hamel had new copies for the students, written in a beautiful round hand, France, Alsace, France, Alsace. He had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. It seemed almost as if he wanted to give us all he knew before going away and put it all into their heads at one stroke. He wanted to say something, but he could not go on. Then he turned on the blackboard, took a piece of chalk and wrote, Vive la France. So, in order to conclude his last lesson, M. Hamel ने जो फ्रेंच भाषा थी उसकी महत्ता को बताया. उन्होंने कहा कि फ्रेंच भाषा एक बहुत ही सुंदर, स्पष्ट और तार्किक भाषा है और इसको इन्हें संभाल के रखना चाहिए. और उन्होंने, क्योंकि उनके पास वर्ड्स नहीं थे, ही वॉज गेटिंग इमोशनल दैट डे, सो ही जस्ट टर्न्ड बैक एंड सेड nothing but wrote in a beautiful round hand, France, Alsace, France, Alsace. And then took a piece of chalk and wrote, Vive la France, जिसका अर्थ है फ्रांस अमर रहे. What impression do you form of M. Hamel on the basis of your study of the story, the last lesson? आप के ओपिनियन में एम हैमिल का आपके दिमाग में क्या इम्प्रेशन बनता है द लास्ट लेसन स्टोरी पढ़ने के पश्चात? M. Hamel is an experienced teacher who has been teaching in school for 40 years. He imparts primary education in all subjects. He is a hard task master, and students like Franz, who are not good learners, are in great dread of being scolded by him, Mr. Hamel. The latest order of Prussian rulers upsets him. He has to leave the place forever and feels heartbroken. He feels sad, but exercises self control. He has the courage to hear every lesson to the last. His performance during the last lesson is exemplary. He is kind even to a late comer like Franz. He uses a solemn and gentle tone while addressing the students. He has a logical mind and can analyze problems and deduce the reasons responsible for it. The problem for Alsace is that it puts off learning till tomorrow. He knows the emotional hold of a language over its users. He is a good communicator and explains everything patiently. Partings are painful, and being human, M. Hamel too is no exception. He fails to say goodbye as his throat is choked. On the whole, he is a patriotic gentleman. तो इस तरह M. Hamel, who had always been a strict and hard taskmaster, and students who were not good learners, उनके साथ में वो काफ़ी स्ट्रिक्ट रहा अपने पास टाइम में. लेकिन नाउ when the last rule has come that no French will be taught with effect from tomorrow, आज वो बहुत इमोशनल हो रहे हैं. And in a solemn and gentle tone, he is addressing everyone. He has a logical mind और आज सारी प्रॉब्लम्स को वो एनालाइज कर रहे हैं. और इस तरीके से उन्होंने अपने इमोशनल टोन में स्टूडेंट्स को और सभी गांव के एल्डर्स को एड्रेस किया. और आज जब उन्होंने 40 इयर्स की अपनी सर्विसेज गांव को स्टूडेंट्स को दी हैं, ही इज़ फाइंडिंग हिम फेल टू से गुड बाय एज हिज throat is getting choked. Overall, he is a patriotic gentleman. Franz's attitude towards school as well as towards M. Hamel changes when he comes to know about the takeover of his village by Prussians. Do you agree? Discuss with reference to the last lesson. The orders from Berlin to take over the village where Franz lives have been pasted on the school notice board. Only German language would be taught in the school and French teacher had to go. Franz felt sorry for not learning his lessons in French anymore. His books that had seemed such a nuisance a short while ago, which he found so heavy to carry, seemed to him old friends. His feelings about his French teacher M. Hamel were changed. He decided to pay attention to the lesson. The school became very important for him. The idea that the teacher was going to not come with effect from tomorrow genuinely upset Franz, who became too serious for history and grammar. I fully agree with it, as one has to take one's D's seriously when he feels the loss of it. आज जब कल के बाद स्कूल्स में जर्मन पढ़ाई जाएगी, फ्रेंच नहीं, इस बात का एहसास ही फ्रांस को बहुत इमोशनल कर रहा था. जो बुक्स उसको बहुत भारी लगती थी, न्यूसेंस लगती थी, वो आज उसको अपनी पुरानी मित्र की तरह से फील हो रही थी। और मिस्टर एम हैमिल जो उसको बहुत एक हार्ड टास्क मास्टर लगते थे, आज उनके लिए उसका बिल्कुल एटीट्यूड चेंज्ड लग रहा था। गिव अ ब्रीफ डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ एम हैमिल। एम हैमिल वॉज वेरी devoted, dedicated, and a strict man of discipline. Students were afraid of his cranky nature and iron ruler. He was a true patriot and a sincere teacher who dedicatedly served the school for long 40 years. The heart of this true gentleman totally broke when he received the order from Berlin to vacate his place to make the space for the new German teacher. He remained upset during the last class. This changed his behavior too, and he behaved rather very politely and patiently. When Franz was not able to say his lesson correctly, he, instead of scolding him, just made him understand about the importance and relevance of learning the mother tongue. He preached everyone presented in the class that important things should never be postponed as time flies very fast. So this was the last lesson for M. Hamel, and with effect from tomorrow he is not going to come to the school. इसलिए वो बहुत भावुक हो रहे थे, और क्योंकि उन्होंने अपने करियर के 40 साल इस स्कूल को दिए थे, मैसेज ऑफ दिस लेसन इज टू फील द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ आवर लैंग्वेज। अल्सास के लोगों के लिए फ्रेंच भाषा सिर्फ स्कूल का विषय नहीं थी, बल्कि उनका कल्चर, हिस्ट्री और रिकग्निशन का एक हिस्सा थी। जब उन्हें फ्रेंच पढ़ने से रोका गया एंड इट वॉज द लास्ट ऑर्डर फ्रॉम बर्लिन, तो उन्हें ऐसा लगा जैसे उनकी पहचान छीन ली गई हो। एम हैमिल की विदाई हमको ये सिखाती है कि लैंग्वेज इज़ नॉट ओनली अ मीडियम ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन, बट यह